Jennifer Perrone and I are here to talk about special education and equity and give just an update. It's going to be a little long, but we have a lot to talk about, so we're excited about it. The reason why we really wanted to be here together, we have been working really hard to align our work. We do not see equity and special education as separate. We see them as the same, and so we, as you see up here, this is kind of our program alignment, the things that we have really tried to collaborate on and intentionally build out together. So we're going to give you an update of our SEL curriculum, our bond design work, the Lynx Program, Unified Sports and Therapy Dogs are our kind of combined projects, and then we'll also be giving updates on our individual projects as well. You can go to the next slide. We put this in here because obviously like all of our work is aligned to the strategic plan. And so in goal 1, there are 7 objectives. So these are the 6 objectives that will be covered as we go through our presentation tonight. All of our work, of course, is aligned to our strategic plan. So we just thought it was important to note that, but I'm not going to read that to you. Next page. Next slide. All right.
Thank you, board, for inviting us here to talk tonight. Anytime we're going to talk about special education, I always like to give just a brief overview. I know special education can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of information that goes along with it. And so I always like to remind anyone that we're speaking to that special education is not a place. It is a set of services that we provide to students who qualify for those services because they have a disability and in order to be successful in the general education environment. And we have stated time and time again, it is a belief that we live by, but that all students are general education students first. Next slide. Just to go over some of the requirements in special education. Again, these are all based in law. So there's the IDEA law, the ADA law, and of course our Michigan administrative rules for special education. And they all basically say the same thing. We cannot discriminate. We have to ensure that all general education interventions have been tried with fidelity prior to determining eligibility, that we've educate any time that a student qualifies for services, they're being educated in their least restrictive environment. We have to be compliant and follow the laws and procedures that are laid before us. And most importantly, and probably one of the most important words in special education is FAPE, which is a free appropriate public education. And that's the basis of all the services we provide. Next slide.
So I put in here, I think it's important that we operate with kind of this theme idea around what words mean. And I think equity, inclusion have kind of become words that people are using a lot. So I put these definitions in here because I think it's important that we kind of have the same working understanding of what these words mean. These definitions were developed by the Oakland County DEISJ, which is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Social Justice Council, and its members from throughout Oakland County. I'm a part of that group. There are other members as well from Bloomfield Hills. So these I will read, equity is an imperative process of removing barriers and creating spaces by intentionally putting it at the forefront, ensuring access for all while amplifying diverse voices that are treated as insignificant and are unacknowledged. Inclusion intentionally uses privilege or unearned benefits to amplify those who are treated as insignificant and unacknowledged so that their voices are heard and valued, and every individual feels a sense of belonging. So these, we kind of wanted to talk about the intention and focus of our work, all of our work, and then collectively as well. So to rethink special education and work together to create a system of supports that is governed by conscience, provides compliance, and ensures education benefit for students. To uplift a community of diverse ideas that fosters understanding, acceptance, respectful civil discourse, and inclusion. To create an environment for the district to have meaningful dialogue and learn from one another. To center the voices of our students, going beyond the superficial attention to student voice to a more robust vision of power sharing with our young leaders, and to understand the why behind what we do.
So just to follow up on what Margaret just discussed in terms of those definitions, and one of the things that we've kind of charged ourselves with is to really make sure that everything, all of the work that we're doing is really focused on equity and inclusion. And our goal is to get to a place in this district where we don't have to refer to inclusion as something that's identified separately, but something that is just embedded in the work that we do and create a very socially inclusive environment district-wide. With that, and one of the first steps towards that, has been our work on the bond. I know that we had presented previously, but we felt it was important to come back to this. We have really focused all of the design work at the middle schools, and now as we're working on the elementary design, on being very inclusive with very intentional planning on the location of all of our classrooms. Currently, all of our special education spaces are literally in the hub of where all general education students will be. And that we are really focusing on creating what we believe will be a state-of-the-art facility that really focuses on embedding accessibility throughout the buildings, so that we don't have to specifically identify spaces where our students with disabilities can access. They should be able to access the entire building. And the goal is to allow them to access those spaces as independently as possible. And so some of the different accessibilities that we're looking at, this is not all inclusive, but we're talking about embedding braille walls, making sure there's sound systems in all of the classrooms, the enhanced lighting, all entrances and exits that general education students would leave from, students with disabilities could access as well, accessible playgrounds and calming spaces. We're also enhancing our learning spaces for our students, and so we will be having full kitchens, laundries, showers, etc. in all of our educational spaces. And then, of course, we've also worked into the design a zero entry pool that will be located at North Hills, and so even our students from Wing Lake will be coming over and utilizing that space. And so again, the goal is to kind of create that inclusive community, that it's not just specific to the students in the building. Next slide. Excuse me. The Lynx Program. This is something I could not be more excited to present to you tonight. It is amazing what has happened and transpired in just a year, and that was in the midst of COVID. So we have initiated a peer-to-peer program, and it's fully implemented at the high school and will continue to grow. The reason I put this picture up here is because these are the shirts that the students have identified and selected for their groups. So they will be ordering them soon, and you'll see students wearing them around the high school. Next slide, please. So the Lynx program is a peer-to-peer support program that really focuses on increased opportunities for our students with disabilities to be integrated into those general education settings as independently as possible and working as closely as possible with their peers. So currently at the high school, again, in the midst of COVID, we have a total of 51 students who have chosen to be Lynx at the high school. They've registered for the class, they are taking it for credit, and they have created 51 new friendships with students throughout the school. And we're looking to grow this opportunity. Some of the activities that the Lynx enjoyed in the middle of COVID was some outdoor interactions through study sessions, nature hikes. There was a number of virtual opportunities as well. They had Netflix parties, they played video games, they would FaceTime and have lunch. We have also started a pilot of the Lynx program at BHMS. And some of the comments from the staff, we've started it with one 5th grade classroom, and it's only been up and running for about a month. The genuine care is amazing and unwavering, and they're speaking of the general education peers. I'm amazed with the observations and insights that the students have, and they show a genuine compassion for our student. Here are just some testimonials. I'm not going to read them all to you, but as you'll see, the top one is from a parent, and she indicated, "I hate school. School is ruining my life. I don't have any friends to play with," and these are words from her daughter. Prior to the peer-to-peer program, my daughter would refuse to go out for recess, eat lunch under her desk, and rarely participate in the classroom. And now that student is literally done a 180. She is outside playing with her peers. Her peers are coming up and asking her to engage, both in the classroom and outside. And so she indicated, to say that I've seen a remarkable change would be an understatement. She has made friends. She plays with them at recess. She's engaging in the classroom, and she's more confident and happy. And again, this program has only been implemented for the last month. Next slide. I put this on here because I felt this was really powerful, because these are quotes from our general education peers, our Lynx. And so on the side with where the quotes are, those are just different activities that the students have partaken in with their counterparts. And so we made lip sync videos together. It was so much fun. I invited my peer to have lunch with my friends and I over Zoom. We hung out over Zoom this weekend just talking. We FaceTimed for lunch and I got to meet my peer's family. I saw my peer take initiative on one of his classes and it was a really big step for him. And the last quote that I put on there that indicates I don't feel lonely anymore, that actually came from one of the peers. And then...
Can I just, this is different than the Lynx crew?
Yes.
That we still have the Lynx crew?
No.
Oh. Okay. I didn't know that went away.
Okay, next slide. So as an extension of the Lynx peer-to-peer program, we will also be initiating unified sports in the fall. It's basically an extension of the program. Again, it is expanding on the social inclusion piece that we keep referring to and speaking about. And it's sports where you have students without disabilities who are playing sports with students with disabilities. And so they are on a team together. They will have, they can play other unified sports teams across the county. We can have intramural, or we can have them where they're playing just with teams within the district. But we are looking to open this up in the fall, and we are working with the athletic department, is working closely with the Special Olympics of Michigan to initiate and launch this. We also intend to use the exercise rooms that we're building into the middle schools as places for the unified sports practices to take place, and even some of the competitions to take place as well. Next slide.
So I just want to briefly talk about the social emotional learning curriculum that is new for us this year. And in the past, social emotional learning could have been seen as the responsibility of social workers. Social workers have always, our social workers are amazing and have always been doing one-on-one SEL with students. But we've been really intentional this year about creating a curriculum for every single student K-12. And we know that all students can benefit from an inclusive social emotional learning curriculum. So we have teachers, social workers, and counselors have been collaborating to support all of our students. We have a team of curriculum writers that have been writing since the summer to put out weekly 30-minute lessons for all students K-12. And so all of our students are experiencing that this year, and it's really exciting. I'm really excited to dig in after we've been building as we go, which has been amazing, but also I'm really excited this summer to be able to go back and start revising and start figuring out how to make it even better. So I'm really proud of the SEL leadership team that has been really doing the writing work, and also just the fact that all of our students are experiencing this year has been pretty awesome. Next slide. I wanted this slide because I'm so excited. I was like, I just really wanted to do this slide. So this is Daisy. So, when we came to you before and talked about the therapy dog program, at that time we did not know exactly who our dogs were going to be. Daisy is going to be one of our dogs. She starts her training in June, and in a few weeks we will have our second dog. We did meet, Jennifer and I got to meet Daisy's brother a month ago, maybe. So we are currently working with communications on how this is going to launch, the fundraising efforts and letters to home for families, so that we can also be ahead of working one-on-one with any families that may have concerns. So we're just really, really excited about Daisy coming into the district.
Okay, now for, in my opinion, what is probably one of the most exciting things that we ventured into in our department this year. So this is just a visual of our current continuum of programs and services. There's no new information on here. It is what you're all familiar with. General education resource teachers 504 plan, and then our programs and services that we offer when students are identified for special education. And so you'll see our ARP programs on here, our FRP programs on here, and then of course our center-based programs. Next slide. We are venturing on a very big shift in our special education program over the next couple of years, and I honestly could not be more excited about it. So on the left, you'll see our current continuum of services. We offer services for students birth to 3. Our staff go into the homes to provide those services. We offer special education services for students 3 to 5, and that's done through our special education early childhood programs. And then we currently offer resource room, directed studies, ARP, FRP, and prep in our center programs. We are looking to shift our future continuum of services to continue to provide early on, to continue to provide the special education at the for early childhood. But then we are looking to shift all of our K-12 special education services to level programs. We will have levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. They will be located at all buildings, so students should not have to shift buildings to receive services that they may need. And all of them will be identified as resource room. They will not be identified, as you can see on the left, where our current programs are identified ARP as mildly cognitively impaired, and our FRP is moderately cognitively impaired. And the remaining programs will remain the same. Next slide. So you're probably asking why. Why are we making this shift? In the presentations that I've given previously, we've talked about compliance. We have not entirely been in compliance with the programs and services that we've offered up to this point. Moving to this system will bring us into compliance with both the Marsh rules and the Oakland ISD plan. The purpose behind this change is really to move away from a disability-driven system. And to really move us to a student needs system that focuses on specially designed instruction for students. It also increases our continuum of services because we are looking to bring some of our students back that are currently placed in center programs, and this will allow us that opportunity to do it. In my opinion, most importantly, is to stop the label. That we move away from any stigmatization around categorical classrooms or labeling students with IEPs. And you'll see that there are some quotes, both from Oakland Schools, the Office of Special Education at the federal level, and our own Department of MDE that basically all state the same thing, that we need to be focusing on specially designed instruction, and we need to be making placement decisions on the needs of students and not the label. Next slide. So our guiding principles for our level programs is that any student who attends any of the 4 levels can attend general education and special education classes. They'll receive all of the accommodations that they need. If they require paraprofessional support, that will be based on individual needs as well. They will follow the general education curriculum with either accommodations or modifications. They may take the state and district assessments, again with accommodations on their IEP, and they may receive a regular diploma, certificate of academic achievement, or certificate of attendance. So participation in any one level would not limit a student from being able to move forward in their educational career. The level programming for students will be based on identified needs in the areas of academic, independence, engagement, behavior, and social. And we will offer multiple programming options, and we will also focus on students' dignities and move away from classroom labels, but most importantly, it provides us greater flexibility to educate our students. Next slide. So the process, this is definitely not something that will happen overnight, and it continues to be a work in progress. And all of the work that we're doing is aligned to the work that came out of the Special Education Design Committee. And so we are continuing to work with the subgroup on really kind of narrowing down what these level programs will look like, the characteristics of the students that define them. And so all of that takes time, and we also want to make sure that our staff are very prepared to move into this new model. And so we are taking all of next year to provide very strategic professional development to our staff to prepare them for this move that will really focus on analyzing caseloads, the peer-to-peer model that we spoke of, universal design for learning, evidence-based high-level practices for students with IEPs, specially designed instruction, executive functioning, and meeting mechanics. In 2021-22, this fall as well, we will be opening 2 level 4 classrooms. One will be located at Lone Pine and one will be located at West Hills. And we will be looking to bring back a few of our students from center programs over the next year for those programs as well. In 22-23 is when we will look to do full implementation of the district, of the level programming district-wide. At that time, ARP, FRP, directed studies, and resource rooms will no longer be identified with Bloomfield Hills. To support the work that we're doing, and in many, many conversations with Superintendent Watson, we will be adding instructional coaches to each of the buildings K-8. They will be part-time in each building to help us really move forward in this work. And really our goal is to the greatest extent possible, to push that learning back into the general education classroom and to provide modeling and coaching for our teachers, both general education and special education, around evidence-based strategies for all students. We're also adding a behavioral coach that will support district-wide, both staff and students, again, with a primary focus on modeling and coaching. We will be adding social work support so that we have at least one social worker in every building, and they will be focusing on both special education and general education with a focus on social emotional learning. And then, of course, the level 4 classroom staff. And so the goal is to return students, but we'll also be servicing students within our own district or students that are new to us in the fall. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our center supervisors, Rebecca and Trevor.
Good evening. Nice to see all of you. So our center programs still will remain the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program and Wing Lake SXI and SCI. And in our center programs, we follow the Oakland County Special Ed LRE Continuum, which focuses on IEP teams that make decisions, and the IEP teams include the parents to determine where students will thrive and obtain their most appropriate educational benefit. So the lighter green is all of the local services. That's the levels 1 through 4 that Jennifer just discussed. The second box from the top is integrated center programs, and that is a center program like the DHH program that runs within a general ed building. And then there are the separate center programs where there's no intent to integrate students with gen ed peers, and that is where Wing Lake falls. So the students that fall into the Deaf and Hard of Hearing programs and Wing Lake, they are students who need more supports. They need the intensity, frequency, duration of their needs or of their behaviors or other related needs drive the level of support and drive their need for that center program. And the programs themselves have resources that are specific to that student. So for example, Wing Lake, we have nurses, we have staff that are used to taking care of personal care needs. In Trevor's DHH program, they have all of the deaf and hard of hearing equipment to service the students. Next slide.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you. I haven't met a lot of you in person before. I've seen you on Zoom multiple times. My name is Trevor Harker, and I am the special education supervisor for the district that oversees the DHH program. So right now I'm going to give you a brief overview of our center programs and what they entail. We have our Wing Lake services, and they service students ages 3 to 26 with the primary disability of severe cognitive disabilities and severe multiple impairments. The maximum amount of students at Wing Lake is 111 students, and we currently have 97 students enrolled. For the DHH program, which services students preschool through 12th grade, whose IEPs are determined placement to be in the DHH program, the maximum amount of students that we have in our program is 65. We currently have 56. Now, Oakland County ISD has said that due to the pandemic, the DSR, or district service requests that students require to get into our program, have been a lot less than normal. So they do anticipate over the next couple months, over the beginning of next year, that we will see an influx of students. So that brings us to the referral process. How does a student get into a center program, and that's through what we call the district service request in Oakland County. The school districts and their IEP teams, as Rebecca said, it's an IEP team decision. They consider placement, they ask the question, do we have the supports and services required to support this specific student? And if they do not, then they look outside for a center program. And that's why we have our students within the Wing Lake and the DHH program. Next slide.
So Trevor talked a little bit about the referrals. We are already starting to see some referrals come in. So at Wing Lake alone, just this week, we've received 3 additional referrals. And so we are really excited about that possibility. So tonight, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Wing Lake, adding to what I shared 2 weeks ago or so. At Wing Lake, we have 11 classrooms, 4 for students with severe cognitive impairments, elementary to post-secondary, and 7 classrooms for students with severe multiple impairments, preschool to post-secondary. We have year-round instruction, so our school year begins in July and it ends at the end of June, 202 school days. Our staff works 209 days so that they can participate in professional development. And most of you, I believe now, have been over to Wing Lake, and you know that our program is very focused on providing comprehensive educations to our students so that they can reach their fullest potential. And we provide adapted PE, music, all of the academics, community-based instruction, and then also anything that the student's IEP outlines as their needs. So we are constantly focused on their IEP goals and objectives, and all of our ancillary related services push into the classroom, but then they also are, again, individually based on what students need. So moving forward with Wing Lake, we are really excited to share that we are going to continue focusing on literacy and numeracy. For the last 4 years, we've focused on literacy through the work of Karen Erickson and David Kopenheimer, and the literacy, the core, Project Core as well. We have Project Core Universal Language that we use throughout the building. We have been focused on social emotional learning all of the time, but especially this year. All of our teachers have done an amazing job with their templates. They've done weekly templates since April 13th of 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, and they include everything from academic areas to the ancillary related services to social emotional learning. It's been pretty incredible, and one of our parents in the family perspective will get to tell you about that as well. Next year, we're really hoping to increase our community-based instruction. We want to get our adult transition students back out in the community, but even more, we want to provide them opportunities to do some sort of work-based learning, not to the same level that prep students may, but to the level that they're able. So whether it's volunteering in the community, anything that they can do to be supportive and learn some job skills, pre-vocational skills. And then, of course, we want to increase opportunities for all of our students at Wing Lake to participate with typically developing same-age peers in the district. So even as Jennifer was talking about Lynx, I was thinking, oh my gosh, we can have some of the Lynx come over to Wing Lake. That would be amazing. And then we cannot wait for our zero entry pool to open over at the North Hills Middle School, because our students just lost access to the pool that we were using in the community at the Jewish Community Center. It is now closed, and so we have not been able to swim for some time, so we're really excited for that opportunity. So with that, first and foremost, with Teacher Appreciation, Staff Appreciation Week next week, I just wanted to give a big shout out to the Wing Lake staff. As I shared a few weeks ago, they have been working with unmasked students since the day we returned to school in September without any complaints. We've been really fearful, but we've been getting through it and still providing the great level of care that they provide. And then to end my part on Wing Lake, I wanted to share 2 family perspectives. So just a short video from the Elder family and the Schulers.
Hello, my name is Kevin Elder.
And I'm Nikki Elder. Our son Dylan has been a student at Wing Lake since the end of 2012. He enrolled in Wing Lake after we relocated back to Michigan from California. And we knew that when we returned back to the area, it was really important for Dylan to attend Wing Lake. It was really important to us.
So when I think about what Wing Lake means to Dylan, to our family, the one word that comes to mind is peace of mind. For us, Wing Lake, or me specifically, Wing Lake is really about a place where Dylan can be loved, he can be nurtured, he can be challenged, he can have a lot of laughter. People treat him like he's a king. I think he'd actually rather spend more time there than at home, which kind of breaks my heart, but they take such good care of him. And I've said this before, I just really feel like the people that work there are truly angels on earth for the work they do and the compassion and love that they show.
Dylan absolutely thrives in the school environment at Wing Lake because of what Kevin mentioned in terms of the staff there seeing the potential in each student, regardless of what it is, and recognizing those differences. And so it's truly beneficial to Dylan to be in such a loving and nurturing environment that sees no boundaries for what he can accomplish. We really appreciate the staff at Wing Lake. We appreciate the opportunity that Dylan has had at the school, and we're very fortunate for him to be a student there.
Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Nikki, and my son Parker is 13 and attends Wing Lake. Just wanted to take a quick minute to talk about how awesome Parker's virtual experience has been this year. It's hard to think back to a year or so ago and remember that this was not something that teachers knew how to do. There was not a template for this, and now it seems like they always knew how to do this and how to do it as well as they did it. So the professionalism in which his team has brought to creating this virtual experience so quickly, basically out of nothing, has been inspiring. Also, with a child like Parker who is needing help, a big team to help him, and then also help at home, the ability to watch and work with his team every day this year and learn so much about all the small things that they do to help Parker improve his strength or his eating or stretching, whatever, the list goes on and on. I have now been able to watch over and over and over again and learn from. So not only are we having this great experience when he's live on Zoom or Google Meet, but then also when we're off camera, it's given me the ability to translate a lot of what was happening at school to his home environment. The other thing that's been so wonderful is that because Parker has, part of his syndrome is a disease of energy, sometimes he just doesn't have the energy at that moment to do whatever is happening. And the flexibility of the virtual program to not only be on live classes, but then also the templates that were created that can be done at any time has been great, because then we can just fill in the blanks of his learning as his strength and energy calls for it. So overall, it has been just such a fantastic year for him, and I can't have enough gratitude for his incredible team who has brought so much joy and professionalism straight through the screen and into our home every day. And one of the best parts of the day is waking up and seeing how excited Parker is, still this many months in, to jump on and see everybody and learn. So thank you so much.
We're going to move to the next slide. And we get to talk about our amazing deaf and hard of hearing program. Rebecca talked a little bit about what specialized services and instruction that we offer within the DHH program. And I want to talk to you a little bit before we get started about our staff. We talked about how next week is staff appreciation. Sure. Is that better? About staff appreciation. And even though next week's staff appreciation, we try our best to appreciate staff every single day. They were forced into uncharted waters this year, and our DHH program in itself, there's so many variables at play, and they've all done a wonderful job of being resilient, being flexible, working as a team, and doing their best to navigate these waters together with our team. Next slide, please. So I want to start off first by having one of our parents come up from the DHH program to talk about their experience this year. And
well, thank you. I wanted to come in person tonight to say thank you to each one of you, because my name is Kathleen Corrala, and thank you for this opportunity to celebrate the success of my amazing daughter Ann Faye. Ann Faye is 9 years old, and she's a second grader in the BHS-Bloomfield virtual program. She was born deafblind in Nanyang, China, and was left on the doorsteps there, and we adopted her when she was 4. From the beginning, we were just amazed at her curiosity, her determination, her problem-solving abilities, but the question was always, how do we unlock that amazing potential? Well, this school year, Ann Faye's self-confidence has exploded, resulting in accelerated achievement in nearly every area of her life, from science, math, reading in both print and braille, to communication through ASL. She's achieved more than anyone thought was possible in one school year. It's been amazing. And I can sum up the reason for this miraculous achievement in one word: communication. It's been amazing. Her teacher, Kelly Parrish, has worked hand in hand with her intervener, Angela Ketcher-Patani, and her VI, Julie Uniton, to create a virtual learning experience that provided her the opportunity to succeed. And Ann Faye's entire team worked together to make learning cohesive and fun for her. She's mainly a tactile learner, so virtual has been very challenging for her, but she has worked so hard. But with virtual learning, I was at front and center. Just like Nicole said, I was front and center to everything she was doing. I was learning along with her, and I was able to take the school lessons and put them into every area of her life. The switch was flipped. She now can understand. She now understands that school is the key to opening and exploring her world. She loves school, and she works so hard every day. So communication with the entire team made this life-changing difference for Ann Faye. And as part of the team, I began to understand how Ann Faye learns and could show her how this knowledge benefits her day-to-day life. Parents work hard with the teachers to support the education of their children, and because of the team effort this year, Ann Faye has shown tremendous progress. She starts lessons with a smile, most of the time, and she does her best to complete the given task each day. She has worked so hard, and she's achieving so much because of the communication and dedication of her amazing team. Thank you, thank you, thank you for providing this opportunity for my daughter. Thank you to each of you.
Okay, back to slides, please. All right, so Ms. Perrone already talked to us today about the initiatives that we are going to put forth in the progress of our special education department and district moving forward. However, we also need to talk about the great things that have happened this year. We talked about our staff being resilient and being flexible and doing great things, for example, like what we were able to do with Ann Faye. But we also had the opportunity to build community partnerships this year. So one of those main focuses of mine as I came into this position is to think about how we could work with our community partners, our nonprofits within the Oakland County and Wayne County area, and capitalize on that to help us work together, because we truly are stronger together and can provide more resources for our family. So this year we've worked with the Holly Institute to provide some online virtual learning. Holly Institute is an extension of Ascension Hospital Systems, and they're also willing to work with us on providing more free opportunities, resources, and camps for our families, and we'll be moving on that shortly. In addition, we're working with Hands and Voices to provide mentorship and guides for our families, and the DIA and DeafCan. The DIA, Detroit Institute of Arts, teamed up with us this year to have a deaf artist come to us. She did an interview with us. She provided a art tutorial for our students that they're all putting together, and we're going to find a place within the district where we can display this mural, basically, that they're making. In addition, we're working with Deafblind Central, and Deafblind Central is out of Central Michigan University, and they really focus on intervener support and supporting our deafblind students, and they're working with us to put together a certification for some of our substitutes who would be interested in intervening when an intervener is absent. So we've got some great things going on. And next year, my hope is to really focus on educating and informing, not only within the district, as far as providing PDs across the district on supporting deaf learners, but also making sure that whatever we're doing in the district moving forward with accessibility, accommodations, when we're building our new middle schools, making sure that universally we are having accommodations and accessibility available to all. And then working at the county level on making sure that everybody's informed on what our DHH program has to offer, to also make sure that our students within other districts are being supported, and if they need support, then they know where to go to. To end us today, we do have a video from Diana Campbell. She is our district ASL specialist, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about our family sign language classes that we're going to be starting next year, or back up next year, and then also welcome you to come to join us at our program.
Good evening. My name is Diana Campbell, and I am the ASL specialist for the Bloomfield Hills Deaf and Hard of Hearing program. I'm here this evening to share with you information about our family sign language classes. Family sign language classes are for everyone. They include students, their families, and any other community member interested in learning American Sign Language, also known as ASL. The Bloomfield Hills School Deaf and Hard of Hearing program has been hosting these classes for over 35 years. We offer 3 different class levels. We have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We provide ASL activities for children 5 through 12, and we are looking into providing classes for younger children as well. Our goal is to immerse our learners in ASL and deaf culture. We are proud to be able to provide support from instructors who are deaf, as it is important to learn ASL from native language users. Deaf and hard of hearing children who already know ASL are welcome to participate in these activities as well. During these activities, they can socialize and teach their siblings and friends. ASL classes will enrich the experience of any child or adult who joins us. Due to COVID, we unfortunately had to place our family sign language classes on hold this year. Thankfully, we were able to partner with the Holly Institute to offer a program that was specifically designed for our BHS families. This 10-week course was provided virtually through Zoom. We are so thankful that we were able to still offer ASL instruction opportunities to our families. That being said, we're excited to bring the classes back to Bloomfield Hills next year. Trevor and I are going to work together to make sure that the district can provide our family sign language classes directly, either virtually or in person. We have really missed seeing everyone and hope to see you all in the 2021-2022 school year. I want to end by saying how proud I am to be a part of the Bloomfield Hills DHH family. everyone has worked so hard this year to make sure that all of our students were supported. This wasn't an easy year, but as a team, we navigated it successfully. Thank you so much for your continued support and advocacy for our students. We would love to see you visit one of our classrooms next year. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Okay, and that last section when she said, you're welcome to join us, I would love if any of the people here on the board would like to come to see our program, to meet our staff. You are more than welcome to. Please feel free to reach out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from my colleagues?
We still got more.
Oh, we still have it.
Yes, some really good items still to come.
So, yeah, we told you it was long. We warned you in advance. So the next slide is about our Student Equity Council, and we had hoped to have some students here, but unfortunately just tonight just didn't work out. So many of you know that there's a group of students that meet weekly, and I meet with them along with Jessica Lupone as well, Tuesday evenings, and we've been doing that since June, every week. All students are welcome, and it really is a completely student-led group. They are the group that worked on the resolution to eradicate racism that was passed by this board over the summer. They presented at Kevin Song Conference on suicide prevention, and they've also led professional learning for all of the high school staff this year. In addition, after leading that professional learning, one of the big goals was to create some support coming out of that for things that kids didn't want to just talk about their experiences without offering guidance and support to teachers and what they want for their learning environment. And so they created teaching guides for all of the staff that are going to be, the principals are distributing them in different ways. They're going to be going over them in staff meetings, professional learning. So I'm really could not be more proud of this group of students, and just really honestly thankful to be able to work with them. And we have more coming. I'm excited. There are 5 students that are going to be taking independent study with me next year to be able to focus on equity work, because they're already putting in such a tremendous amount of time that we were able to work it out during the school day next year is really exciting. Next slide. So you don't need to be able to read these things. Don't worry about that. That's not the point. But I just wanted to give a little update on global education teams. So as you know, we try to have one big project every year. So last year, our big project was the Cultural Observances Calendar, which is still being updated. We did create a Bloomfield Hills Global Ed Twitter. So if you don't follow that account, please start. All of the cultural observances are something that we tweet out about. So there's stuff coming out almost every day. So that's really exciting. And every building is working on plans for how to lift up these different observances within their buildings, which is really exciting. This year, we have taken on this project of the language of equity. So we're working collaboratively with the district team and also the individual building teams to start to talk about what kind of language really represents where our hearts are and all of the work that we've been doing. So we're excited about that. You should see, we have a meeting coming up next week, so you'll see hopefully a good draft before we leave for summer. Next slide. So just wanted to give also a quick update. Oh, go back one. Thank you. On the Math Equity Challenge. So just a reminder that our challenge is that Black students are having experiences that lead to disproportionate outcomes in mathematics and disproportionate enrollment in AP and IB mathematics courses. Next slide. So we have gone through a liberatory design process aligned with our continuous improvement process. So we're excited that we kind of went into this before the new MyKIP system, and I'm still learning a lot about it, but Carrie and Susan are kind of helping me to see how the liberatory design process fits into that, which I'm excited about. So we started by building a data story, and finding root causes of what has been happening. And so we did that through one-on-one interviews with students, in addition to focus panels with students, to really kind of get into what are the experiences that we need to change in order to have improvement in our mathematics. Next slide. So based on that, I didn't put all the details of the analysis in here, but I wanted to show you the goals that we've landed on, because this is what we're going to be working on over the next year, at least, probably a little bit longer. So we had all of the teachers, 612, look at the data from the students. So we spoke to about 125 students and break that down into what we saw as 3 different goal areas. So students that do not feel successful in mathematics are noting that they do not feel safe to make mistakes in their mathematics classroom. Students that do not feel successful in mathematics are noting that they do not feel safe to ask questions. And then students are having inconsistent experiences with regards to relationships with teachers. And there is a correlation in the data between a relationship with the teacher and a feeling of success. So these are the 3 things that we really want to focus on. Next slide. So we turn those into goals. So these are our goals. The first goal is about Algebra 1, because we know that in order to impact our AP/IB enrollment in 11th and 12th grade, that we need to start with Algebra 1 in 8th grade. So the goal is that by the end of next year, the 7th grade students entering Algebra 1 courses will be more representative of the overall 8th grade racial makeup. Based on the fact that students were feeling like they couldn't make mistakes, the next goal is by the end of the 2021-2022 school year, perception data would show an increase in students indicating that their mathematics learning environment promotes and encourages multiple attempts and productive struggle. Based on the fact that students said that they didn't feel comfortable asking questions, our goal is that in the next school year, classroom observations will show an increase in student-to-student problem-solving based conversations. And then for the relationship piece, we're focusing on feedback. So teachers will engage in multiple professional learning experiences and gain a shared understanding around strength-based feedback, demonstrated by the end of the 2021 school year through teacher-created guiding statements and strategies. Next slide. You want to take this one?
So we've provided, it's not an all-inclusive list, but these are a number of the professional learning experiences that have been provided for staff, both general education and special education staff, both this school year and what we're learning to move into our next school year. A lot of these, again, are very collaborative, that Margaret and I are working on together. And we're really focusing, again, on those inclusive and equitable practices. And you'll see many of the professional learning opportunities that are being presented here all focus around those areas and strategies to really bring that socially inclusive environment district-wide. Next slide. So this is our future vision for our continued collaboration. Again, we're looking to add the full-time social workers to each building that will help support both our one-on-one small groups and our classroom SEL. Growing the therapy dog program to make sure that we're working towards having a dog in every building. Collaboration with the instructional coaches will be supporting inclusion and belonging for all students. Growing the peer-to-peer program. The continued focus on equity and inclusion, specifically as it relates to the bond design and more. And then the continued inclusion of all math classes in the math equity, including our self-contained math classes. And there's more to come. These is not all inclusive, but just to give you an overview of the work that we're doing collaboratively going forward. And I think that's our last slide. So before we jump into any questions, Margaret and I really just want to give a huge thank you to the board in supporting our work, our peers in the cabinet, and our building administrators, but most importantly, our staff. The work that we're embarking on, we could not do without them. They're amazing, and although some of these changes are a little scary for some, I think overall there is an underlying sense of excitement, and I think we share that excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I just echo what Jennifer said. We're so thankful for staff, and as Superintendent Watson said earlier, you know, we keep asking more of them, and they keep meeting and exceeding everything that we could ever ask for, so we're just really grateful.